Let me say a special good morning to those of you listening to Classic Radio 105.5, 105.9 on the FM dial. Let me say good morning to those of you also viewing GBN TV, whether you are viewing Channel 7, Channel 11, or Channels 20. Good morning. What about our social media platforms? I'm assuming loads of you already up and about on the various platforms, whether it's the YouTube channels, Facebook page. Good morning. GBN's webpage. You're listening and viewing there. Thank you so much for being with us on To The Point this morning. I'm your host, GT. We'll be with you until it's 10 a.m. This morning. Let me say good morning to my guest this morning. Is of course Member of Parliament, Honorable Joseph Andall, with us this morning. Mr. Andall, good morning and welcome. Happy Andall, I should say. Good morning to you, sir. How are you this morning?
Good morning, GT, and thank you very much for your warm welcome. I'd also like to say good morning to all of your listeners, viewers, and those following via social media.
All right.
And Happy New Year to you, your family, and
I was
everyone.
just about the same goes out to you, sir. It's Happy New Year.
Thank you.
I think it's the first time we have you in the program for the New Year thus far, even though it's just a couple of days into the year. But January almost done,
I think the New Year already has more gray hair than you and me.
I would agree with you on that one. Let's start a conversation this morning. Let's kick it off with your constituency this morning, St. Patrick's West. How was things in St. Patrick's West? I'm assuming we haven't had you in the program for a wee bit. We had you sometime early last year. Had you a few times last year. We did, but for the latter part of the year we didn't. We do after Hurricane Beryl. We had some conversation relating to that in terms of the rebuilding process and so forth that was taking place in terms of individuals and families who may have gotten been through the storm and so forth. How's things in St. Patrick's West, as it stands?
Well, we can begin with burial recovery efforts.
Yes.
One of the main priorities is housing.
Yeah.
And in fact, even before burial, that was a big concern. So burial just exacerbated what was already a kind of dicey situation. Mm-hmm. But I'm pleased to say that we have begun with the reconstruction of some of the homes, some of them brand new, some of them repairs, and that is being done mainly through collaboration with the Ministry of Mobilization, Implementation, and Transformation, MIT. We try as much as possible to use local contractors, and that is proving to be a little bit challenging because with the flurry of construction activities on mainland Grenada as well as in Carriacou and Petit Martinique, I think everybody in the construction field is finding it very difficult to get skilled workers and in some cases even helpers or unskilled laborers.
Everybody had their hands filled so far.
Yeah, but we are forging ahead.
All right.
We're forging ahead, yeah.
All right. Some of the major activities within your constituency, of course, you spoke about the rebuilding process after burial. Any other development processes that are taking place that we need to hear about?
Yes. So another issue is that of transportation and the transportation network, in particular the infrastructure. Mm-hmm. In 2023, December 2023, we suffered from a sort of freak rainstorm in St. Patrick that did some significant damage to a lot of the physical infrastructure in the parish. Mm-hmm. So we are continuing to work on those, and that is in addition to regular road maintenance and so on. On this Saturday coming, the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Infrastructure Development, Mr. Alva Brown, and a team comprising the CTO and one or two engineers will be in St. Patrick West so that we can take stock of a lot of the infrastructure work that needs to be done in the constituency. And that will include not only roads and bridges, but also government buildings that have been abandoned over the years. So these are some of the things we'll be looking at. We know, for example, that there's some work that needs to be done on the fish market, the Sutter's Fish Market. Properly speaking, that is located in St. Patrick East. Yeah. But Minister Cornwall and I, we work hand in hand and we do a lot of things jointly. The vegetable market as well as the meat market, those have really deteriorated over the years, so we'll be taking a look at them to see what at least temporary measures can be taken to improve health and safety conditions there. But we also have to take a longer-term view of those facilities. All right? We have been making efforts to expand the road network. A couple of months ago, we were able to start a bypass road linking Marley, Upper Marley, with Sates. As you know, there is just one principal street in Sates, and if you have one badly parked vehicle in it, it can tie up traffic in the town for 15-20 minutes. So there are other areas. There is another area from McDonald College leading down to Lower Marley, an area that we call Coconut Row. We have to look at the possibility, well, not just look at the possibility, but seriously take steps to put another road there. How soon, I'm not in a position to say at this moment, but we need to do that so that traffic congestion can be eased up in Sates. And know that over the years, the idea of running a road along the beach near the breakwater has been floated. So this is something I believe that the engineers can look at too, and see what measures we can take to.
You've been the MP for the last 2.5, going on 3 years for St. Patrick's West. How happy are you, sir, in terms of the overall development of the constituency? I mean, what more would you like to see have done in the past 2.5 years in terms of the overall constituency that you think, well, we understand your particular portfolio is one that keeps you engaged all the way, especially off island. But how much more would you like to have seen done in terms of the overall development, St. Patrick's West, St. Patrick's as a whole, as a parish?
Okay, good. So we have some issues which I wish could have been handled before, but we have some objective challenges that we face, and you have to live with that. Okay, so the whole question of health facilities, our main health facility in Sates, I believe that we need to do more to upgrade the physical facility and to expand the list of services available there. I know that, for example, 30 years ago, women used to be able to give birth in Sates without fear of catastrophe, and we no longer have that facility there. So this is something that I'm looking forward to working with the Ministry of Health and the Minister of Health to see how we can get it back on track. There is a little clinic, a little medical facility located in Mountrich. Some people call the area Snell Hall, but properly it's in Mountrich. We have to finish the refurbishment of that. In fact, right now we are in the process of tendering it out, and so I'm hopeful that within the next couple of months that building will be fit again and equipped to serve the residents of Mountrich, Snell Hall, Montfendu, and so on within short order.
Okay.
We still, as I said, have some major challenges from the fallout of the December 2023 landslides and flooding. The Snell Hall, Montfendu areas, they have some bridges that are seriously compromised. The road from Duquesne going through Prospect, Darby, Mount Alexander, Mount Rodney, Mount Craven back into Sates. That too has some bridges that need some urgent attention. There is one bridge around the corner close to the Petians Hotel. There is another one near to the what's the name of the family again? St. Bernard old residence, where a big chunk of the road has broken off. So the CTO PS will be taking a look at that. We also have some farm roads up Red Mud and a couple other areas that need some urgent attention. So while we have achieved quite a lot, there's still a lot more to be done. And I always say, if you ever feel satisfied, when you eat and they say you're satisfied, you don't want to eat anymore. If as an MP you ever feel satisfied, I think something is wrong.
Yeah.
Yes, because there's always something
to do. I mean, there's always, because you may only touch up, but just sometimes you feel you have just touched the surface of whatever needs to be done.
But apart from the global things that have done by the government, which the entire nation benefits from, there have been some positives for us in St. Patrick. We have been able to build quite a number of little roads connecting communities and creating greater access to them. We were able, in collaboration with the Chinese government, to equip the McDonald College a couple of months ago with a brand new IT lab. We have been able to refurbish the Chantamel Community Center, which had fallen out of use for a number of years. I mean, people used to use it for happy hours, but it had no real proper facilities, so we have been able to refurbish that, and soon we'll be reopening it. In collaboration with MP Cornwall, we have been working on the Monkridge Community Center. In fact, we thought we were ready to open it, but then we recognized that the ceiling, which is a concrete ceiling, that parts of it were flaking off and the steel was being exposed. So that was a safety hazard, and we did not want to expose people to that. So we're going to be doing some more remedial work.
All right. In terms of the work that you have mentioned that you have done, I'm assuming there's always that conversation with constituents from time to time. What are some of those major, concerns you've been hearing from constituents? Yes, besides the roads been done and so forth, and on the construction of buildings and so forth, which is something I know they're happy for. What are some of the concerns you've been hearing, especially from constituents, that seems to be something that you will want to follow up on and offer the necessary assistance?
Yeah, so, I think, like I said before, the biggest thing that I face is the housing crisis. It really is a crisis nationwide,
especially for constituents.
But particularly in St. Patrick. We have a number of people living in conditions that are, to put it mildly, less than ideal.
Okay.
No proper sanitation, leaking roofs, and so on. And the resources have to be mobilized to address those. So that is why government has embarked on the Project 500 program.
Okay.
We have ramped up and increased the Ministry of Housing's house repair and house building program. So, for example, every new house that is built under that program is built with modern bathroom and toilet facilities. Okay. And so, while the situation is there, we are working with residents to address it to an extent.
Okay. Yeah. We drew for a break. Let's take it when we come back. We continue the conversation. Stay with us, folks. It's To The Point here on Classic Radio GBN TV. We will be right back after the short break. Don't touch it out. Stay with us, folks.
Are you ready for the ultimate culinary showdown? GBN presents Oil Down Fest. Oil Down Fest. Oil Down Fest 2025. Who will be crowned the Oil Down King or Queen? Oil Down Fest 2025. Saturday, February 1st.
Oil Down Fest is sponsored by Flow, Grenada Motor Club, Grenada Tourism Authority, Sandals Grenada, Blue Bubbles, Calico Shopping Center, George of Huggins and Company, Grenada Cooperative Bank, and Superb Distributors.
Take time and I write down all the things that I love on my island.
Classic Lighting Caribbean presents Everything Solar and LED, a classic trade show, January 31st to February 2nd, Grenada Trade Center, from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Come experience solar energy at its best through a range of solar-powered products, including solar multicolored floodlights, solar vision floodlights, all-in-one street lights, 3,000 watts portable hybrid generators, solar portable power packs, 48-volt batteries, and 6.3 kilowatt inverters, and more. And introducing our newest solar air condition units. Lower your energy cost with our range of solar products. Be part of Everything Solar and LED Trade Show, January 31st to February 2nd, Grenada Trade Center, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Classic Lighting Caribbean, lighting up our lives.
me say welcome back once again, listeners. Welcome back, viewers, to The Point, Classic Radio, GBN TV. So lovely to have you, of course, with us this morning. Welcome back once again, MP Joseph Andall with us this morning. And, of course, he represents St. Patrick's West. So welcome back once again to the program this morning. I want to get into, of course, you've been the Minister of Foreign Affairs in terms of one of your portfolios. And you've been part of a recent delegation together with the Honorable Prime Minister going to visit the Republic of China. Tell us a wee bit about the of course, the visit, some of the benefits that has derived from the benefit, of course, for Grenada as a whole, our citizens as a whole. Tell us a wee bit in relation to that.
Okay, good, thanks. Just a slight correction. It's the People's Republic of China.
People's Republic of China. Did I just say Republic of China?
Yeah.
Oh, the People's Republic of
Yeah.
China. Thanks for the correction.
Yeah, no problem. Right. So before I go into that, I will talk briefly about a visit I undertook to Benin, which is a French-speaking country in West Africa.
Okay.
From where many of our ancestors were trafficked.
All right.
In the 17th, 18th, early 19th centuries in the transatlantic slave trade. So CARICOM foreign ministers were invited to a meeting or a series of meetings with Benin, or in Benin, I should say. And so before heading on to China, I did go on to Benin. We were able, a couple months prior, to sign a visa waiver agreement with Benin. Now, we also had some cultural exchanges and discussions about deepening cultural, political, and diplomatic ties between Benin and Grenada, Benin and the Caribbean. There is a renewed thrust within CARICOM, and particularly in Grenada, to ensure that we redevelop and strengthen our ties with the African continent. We live in a world where, certain countries are becoming more and more provincial. Yeah. We have some leaders who are, to put it mildly, extremely capricious in their approach to relationships with other countries. And so we have to ensure that we continue to maintain our good relationships with our traditional friends, but at the same time, widen and deepen our diplomatic outreach. And so Africa for us is a very extremely important hub. One of the things that we continue to discuss, we did so in Ghana last year and now again in Benin, is the possibility of creating an air link between West Africa and the Caribbean. To get to Benin, I had to travel 3+ hours to Miami, another 8+ hours to France, another 6+ hours to Cotonou, which is the commercial capital of Benin. A direct flight from the Eastern Caribbean to West Africa is no more than about 6.5, 7 hours. So what we have to do now is to find ways to develop the interest, to come up with the necessary air services agreements, and to promote and generate the types of activities that will stimulate trade and travel between the two regions. Yes. We discussed having one West African country serving as a hub. So it could be Ghana, it could be Benin, or any other one. And one country, preferably in the Eastern Caribbean, serving as a hub to facilitate that traffic. So this is not something that will happen overnight, but I think that once there is a will to get it done, which there appears to be, we will accomplish it. Benin has taken an approach to the question of reparations, because traditionally when we talk about reparations, we talk about the European countries which enslaved and colonized our ancestors, making reparations in one form or another. Well, about the CARICOM 10-point plan. Yes. Benin believes that Africa too has a responsibility to make reparations to the Caribbean.
I have an agreement with that.
Yes.
I'm also in agreement with that.
The idea is that if their leaders in those days were not complicit, then it would not have been so easy for the slave trade to make the sort of inroads that it did for a couple hundred years. So what they have done is to pass a law in the parliament last year offering citizenship to all Afro-descendants in the diaspora.
All right.
So I think you should take up the offer, GT. All right.
It's always something that grabbed my interest, as you mentioned it. I mean, that's not a way of diverting, because, we always blame the English and stuff in terms of preparation and feel that they're the one responsible for the slave. But I always thought the African countries played an important role in terms of it happening too.
They did play a role, but that cannot lessen the inhuman, barbaric human trafficking that the Europeans engaged in. Even as we accept that the Africans played a role in it, we cannot excuse.
Yeah, I agree. I agree totally in agreement with you.
Descendants still continue to benefit from it in many cases, because a lot of the companies that were set up are still functioning, and they were built on the backs of our foreparents. But we have to move on.
Yes, we do. we do. So we cannot bury our minds in it totally, but that we can't forget it also.
Exactly, yeah. So China now, Grenada and China on the 20th of this month celebrated 20 years of the re-establishment of diplomatic relations. And we must say that the relationship has been extremely beneficial to both sides, but particularly to Grenada in terms of the material and other support that we have received from the People's Republic of China over the past 20 years. And it is important to note that that support is not contingent. It has no strings attached to it. You hear people making all kinds of spurious talk about debt trap and so on.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the conversations you hear from time to time. What are we giving back?
Right.
For what are we receiving? It's always been a concern from that to the regular citizens out there.
But it's amazing that some of the people who push that kind of talk, when we get aid from other sources, they never seem to have those kinds of concerns or express them. China has never colonized any country in the Caribbean. China is not a colonial power.
Yes.
China, in recent memory at least, has not invaded or occupied any other country. The Chinese use diplomacy, they use their economic power to make outreach. They place no stringent demands on you. All right? So we believe that once you go into a relationship with your eyes open and you understand what you're getting yourself into, that you'll be fine.
You don't feel comfortable, you don't continue, as some folks would say.
Exactly. Simple as that, all right? Yeah. So that trip was partly to commemorate the 20th anniversary of the re-establishment of diplomatic relations. We had Prime Minister Mitchell, Minister Lennox Andrews, myself, and some technical officers from the various government ministries. There was also Senator Salim Rahman representing the private sector interest in the Senate as part of the delegation.
Okay.
We are very warmly received, and we had some very interesting tours. I missed the first one to the Beijing electric vehicle plant because of my trip to Benin. I did not get in there at the same time.
Okay.
Yep. All right. But yeah, we were able to visit, for example. Most of the time we spent was in Zhejiang province, where Ningbo city is probably the main urban center there. We were able to undertake a tour of the BYD factory, which manufactures electric vehicles.
Yes.
And I'm sure you're aware that government is embarking on a pilot program to introduce that type of vehicle for transporting school children.
So they were aware of that, yes.
Yes, good. So we were able to witness the entire production, to travel along the production line to witness the process. Very, very interesting, very high tech. And this is very important because, everybody's talking about reducing the carbon footprint of countries.
Yeah.
And that is one way of doing it, by introducing electric or hybrid vehicles to replace the current fleet of fossil fuel burning vehicles. Ningbo University of Technology was also another very interesting stop, and in fact there is a Grenadian student there, a young lady, I don't remember her name now.
Yes.
And she's very involved in the cultural life and academic life of that university. They have inaugurated a center for Grenadian studies at Ningbo University. So you have Chinese and other foreign students learning about Grenada, studying, very interesting. Prime Minister Mitchell was conferred a title of honorary professor at Ningbo University.
All right.
So it's okay now to call him prof.
All right.
Yes. Ningbo Zhoushan Port.
Yes.
Which is a massive seaport that is fully automated. And I'm not a technical person in that sense, but I was very impressed by the efficiency. And because everything is automated, it means that you are able to move massive quantities of goods in a very short space of time. Yep. So all of these are things that we have to look at. We have to get our technical people to go to study the operations to see how we can improve the efficiency of our port operations here.
Yeah.
Because in business time,
I know. I certainly do understand in terms of that benefit it will bring in terms of the time span and the turnaround. Because that's always seems to be one of those problems here on island, the time span that things take to get things turned around.
Exactly, yeah. And we also had some meetings with people from the Chinese private sector who are showing an interest in investing in our agriculture sector and other sectors of the economy. So all in all, it was a very good trip. We were able to sign,
because there was a couple, was it 13 MOUs or something of the sort?
13 plus 1. 13
plus 1.
Yeah.
All right.
Right. Spanning a wide range of sectors. Memorandum of understanding on exchange and cooperation in the field of economic development between the National Development and Reform Commission of the People's Republic of China and the Ministry of Economic Development, Planning, Agriculture, and so on in Grenada. That agreement, when implemented, will help us in making maximum benefit of our agricultural and marine potential. There is also one on the blue economy, and the blue economy is not just about fishing, but about everything associated with the sea. Tourism, exploration of using wave energy and things of that nature. There was one on a trade agreement between the Trade Division and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Trade and Export Development and their Chinese counterpart. There is a lot of interest in China in Grenada's nutmeg added value products. We have some small players here. I know that the Ministry of Trade and the Bureau of Standards, they're working with them to improve quality, to improve packaging, branding, and so on. And once we can do the necessary work on our end, we believe that there is very, very good potential for that in the Chinese market. Our ambassador there, Ambassador Ian Marshall, is doing a tremendous job in terms of pushing Grenada's interests in China, not only with the government, but also with elements of the Chinese private sector.
All right. So you speak of the MOUs that we have signed. How soon are we going to see some of the MOUs and the benefits that will derive from it? How soon are we going to see them really rolling out?
Right.
Is it in the next 6 months?
Well, some of them have already started rolling out.
Yes.
And again, it all depends on the alacrity with which the different local institutions put the mechanisms in place to get things started. So, for example, the Chinese Agricultural Mission is about to get into the 9th phase of their engagement with us in La Sagesse. GBN, I believe, No, GIS. GIS, right, has entered into a couple memoranda with their Chinese counterparts in terms of exchange, technical exchanges and support, programming, and different aspects of broadcasting. And so on, right? Now, one of the memoranda that was signed was between Ningbo City and the parish of St. Patrick.
Yeah.
So although St. Patrick
that's what shows some benefits on your side.
Yes. All right. And that was something that we entered into last year with Ningbo City. And we have already started to see some benefits coming to the parish. One of the things that we received from the Chinese side recently was a brand new custom-built ambulance for the parish, because that is an area that we had been suffering with for a long period of time. So we now at least have one functioning ambulance in St. Patrick through that cooperation agreement. And we are expecting a shipment of supplies soon that will benefit farmers, fisherfolk, and sports enthusiasts, football, basketball, volleyball, table tennis in St. Patrick. So there is also going to be some cultural exchanges with people. In fact, just last week we had a troupe of cultural performers. They performed at the Radisson a couple nights ago, and prior to that, they were at the St. Patrick's Anglican School, putting on a really good show that was greatly appreciated by the residents of St. Patrick and nearby communities. So we expect to see more of these types of exchanges with cultural people from St. Patrick touring Ningbo City, and more people from Ningbo coming to share with us, because the people-to-people exchange is a very good way of cementing the bonds between different nations and peoples. Yeah.
Now, the significant importance of our relationship with China, the significant importance of it from of course, a governmental point of view. Tell us about that.
Good. So, we live in a world of great uncertainty, great turbulence. We all know what's happening in Eastern Europe, Russia, Ukraine. We see the carnage that is taking place in Palestine and in different parts of the world. You know, you have Sudan, lots of instability, lots of violence, and so on. It is very important that we keep our relationships open, that we are not a military power, we are not an economic power, so it is important that we try to be friends to all. Of course, we cannot and we must not remain silent in the face of gross injustice on the global scale. All right? But the relationship with China, we value it very much, because we are treated with the same respect that big countries, hundreds of times our size and population, are treated with.
Yes.
When we travel to or through certain countries that are supposedly friendly, you might be surprised at, I'd be frank, the indignities, the body searches and stuff like that, and they don't care that you're this, that, or the other. In China.
So your diplomatic field, of course, relationship would be sometimes minimal to a point.
Yeah, many countries don't even respect that. If you're a small fry, they treat you with scant respect. With China, it's different. Everybody is treated equally. Yeah, they do not try to lecture you. They do not tell you, well, if you get this, you have to vote that way at the UN. Of course, every country lobbies for support.
Yes.
Everybody. If they have a resolution that they want you to support, the US would come asking for your support, China would come asking for your support, whoever it is will come asking for your support. As a sovereign state, you have to look at the merits of whatever it is they're asking you to support. You also have to look at your own national interest and then make a decision on that. But I must say that the relationship with China is based on mutual trust, mutual respect for sovereignty, for the principle of non-interference in domestic affairs, and that is something that we appreciate very much.
All right. So we drew for a break. Let's take it. And when we come back, we continue the conversation. Stay with us, folks. It's To The Point here on Classic Radio GBN TV. We'll be right back after the short break. Don't touch it down.
Love Fest, who single, who taken, who looking, we want to know, and we're going to find out. February 15th is all about Love Fest. Quarantine Point is the place to be. Boys here alongside the Bad Squad Band going to be live and in living colors, up close, personal and very intimate. So make sure and get your tickets right now. It's only $100, but if you're coming in couples, it's $180. So make sure and get our tickets right now. Ladies, it's all about you, right? But you don't want everybody to come out. Single people, married people, everybody couple up. Just come out, man. We're going to have a good time, right? Love Fest is a place to be.
Here we go, here we go. Hey, celebration time. Well, let you believe.
All Down Fest is sponsored by Flow, Grenada Motor Club, Grenada Tourism Authority, Sandals Grenada, Blue Bubbles, Calico Shopping Center, George of Huggins & Company, Grenada Cooperative Bank, and Superb Distributors.
Welcome back once again, listeners. Welcome back, viewers, to The Point, Classic Radio GBN TV. With us this morning, we have, of course, the MP4, of course, St. Patrick's West, the Honorable Joseph Andall with us this morning. And this segment also, we open up the lines. If you listener or viewer there and you have a question or two you may like to ask the minister, feel free to do it in this segment also as we continue with the conversation this morning. But so we spoke a lot about your visit to China. We spoke about your visit to, of course, is it Benin also. Tell us, in our economy today, Grenada, with all the international, of course, partners we have out there, folks may still say, is it that beneficial to Grenada in terms of the partnership that we are forming? Some folks may say, the folks on the ground may say they're not seeing those benefits for some reason. I wonder if you get in that direction where I'm going. You know, is it always okay for us to be getting into those partnerships and there's no that tangible benefit that we want in terms of help? We're a small country. Mm-hmm. You understand? Our economy is not as grand as some of them are. Mm-hmm. But how are we benefiting from all of these international friendship that we are, of course, gathering?
I think it is pretty obvious, all right? And I'm talking in a general sense, not just the 2.5 years that we've been in office. Yeah. If you look at the USA and the UK, they have been good partners with and to us over the years. Just recently, we got a grant of $10 million from the British government. If you know about the G Cruise water project.
Yes, all about in relation to that. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. If you look at housing, if you look at the Simon Bolivar housing complex in St. David, if you look at all of the housing units constructed by the Chinese over the years in different parts of Grenada, we get a lot of assistance to deal with our infrastructure. Even among the MOU that we signed with China is a very important one is a partnership with the Solid Waste Management Authority dealing with how we handle waste, which is a very, very big concern, particularly for a small country like Grenada with very limited land space. Okay. If you look at the educational landscape of Grenada, nearly I shouldn't say nearly all. There was a time when nearly all of our medical doctors and engineers were trained in Cuba. That percentage has decreased as we have found other ways, other avenues, but still that cooperation with Cuba and many other countries like Morocco, like Serbia, and so on. We have Grenadians, not in big numbers, studying there. I think currently we have about 60-something Grenadian students doing undergrad and postgrad studies in China.
Yes.
Now, our healthcare situation, we all know it's been in dire straits for a number of years. And at the level of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, we have been making lots of outreach to our international partners to assist, at least in the short-term area. We have in Grenada, for example, only one anesthetist. We need nephrologists, we need cardiologists, and so on. So it is only through engaging at the international level we will be able to start building capacity to handle these challenges that we face now. And although some of them will have to be short-term measures, we have to start somewhere and then get to the point where we can start producing the professionals that we need.
Understandably so. But someone might ask a question, of course, when are we going to get it started? Because always at that point to get it started with all the friendship that we may have. No. Before you continue, we do have a caller. Let's entertain some of the calls and then we continue the conversation.
Yes, good morning.
Caller, you're live. Good morning.
Greetings, Mr. Telesford. Can Mr. Andall hear me well?
Yes, he's hearing you.
I'm hearing you, Citizen Rollo. Good morning, greetings.
God's blessings of health, strength, and wisdom to be able to confront whatever may approach us this year. By way of correction, Mr. Andall, the Simon Bolivar village with the Venezuelans, just by correction.
Yes, I did say, okay,
No,
if I didn't say that, it must have been a slip of the tongue.
I excuse you on that one. But just to correct. Okay, let's go. Listen, where to go? You have my back as it relates to our association cooperation with the People's Republic of China. They don't invade anybody. They don't coerce anybody. They don't blackmail anybody. They don't go around invading anybody's property and so on. Way to go with them. Deal with them straight. They will deal with you straight. I hope the way they have been millennial for all these thousands of years. That's how they have been. They treat people with respect. You look around the world, that's what you would see. Support them where they need it. They need support on Formosa. Stroke Taiwan. Yes, and you have to say it too. We have to support them because these are the people that treat the world with respect, and they never prove under any circumstances to be hegemonic and want to rule people and tell them how to live their life. So if I support you on that, you could count yourself lucky, right? No. There are many things to talk about. I want to focus on one over. All in your discourse, Mr. Andall, you mentioned something about reparations and so on. You didn't really go in-depth into it. But listen, I remember just prior to COVID, I asked you a question where you presented on radio as a member of your party because you weren't in office then. And I asked you, I told you of my concern that Grenada has been operating as a colony of Great Britain. And I remember you telling me that when we reach 50, we will start talking about that we have passed 50, Mr. Andall. What is the state of the government that you represent today on the correction of the anomaly, of the farce, and the hypocrisy that was imposed upon us as it relates to this imperial order in council of the Queen's Most Excellent Majesty, obligating this country to live under subjugation, acquiescence, and submission to the British Crown? When will the government that you represent commence looking at this issue by talking to the people and telling them the truth as we celebrate 51 years of quote-unquote independence? When will we get a Constitution Act? Or do we know the number you can tell us? I'll leave that one to you for what it's worth. Do you have an idea, will you, sir?
Thank you, Citizen Rollo. Now, I remember quite clearly that conversation, and if you remember correctly, I think you didn't allow me to finish developing the point that I was making. What I was about to say back then, that must have been about maybe 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah. What I was about to say is that we'd be celebrating 50 years in 2024. So it would be a good idea for us to start the conversation in earnest, to start the engagement with the people and do something proper regarding constitutional reform so that we could give Grenada 50th anniversary gift
Okay.
of a brand new constitution, but I wasn't really allowed to thing. But what you say about the nature of the engagement with the People's Republic of China is correct, and that is why we truly appreciate it. And of course, we subscribe to the One China policy, and yeah.
All right. We have another caller. Caller, you're live. Good morning. Call over WhatsApp. Good morning.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, you're hearing you, sir. Go right ahead, please.
Yeah, morning, Mr. Andall. It's somebody you know very well. There's so many things that need to be raised here, but I know that there's not many time to available. Quickly, I just want to, you mentioned Benin, and I'm always encouraged when the topic of Africa comes up, especially West Africa. So I'm very happy. But I'm concerned there has been a deafening silence when it comes to the Sahel countries. CARICOM countries, including Grenada, have been absolutely silent in relation to the Sahel, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, and the kind of intimidation they face. In fact, just yesterday, or the last 24 hours or so, they have officially exited ECOWAS. Now, if Grenada or CARICOM have any intention of showing solidarity with the Sahel countries, and in the light of the fact that Grenada also had developed some relation with Ghana under the previous government. Now you have a new government, and the new government in Ghana seems to be more inclined to align with the Sahel group. How would Grenada respond to that? Quickly, please give me a little time, a few minutes, just to make a few points. One is the reparations committee in Grenada. I am part of a number of Pan-African platforms, and many times they ask me about the reparation process here. Now, somebody said from Bonet recently that CARICOM is revising the 10-point plan. Can you speak to that? Also, the other thing about it is the situation with Venezuela and Cuba. I mean, there seems to be a definite effort to strangle Cuba and Venezuela. What is CARICOM of Venezuela? Or Grenada's position on that? And the other one is, I just read a statement from Commajon, what's his name again? David Commajon, the ambassador, the CARICOM ambassador, reparation ambassador, CARICOM Barbados ambassador at CARICOM. He have said something, he and Sir Ronald Sanders, that we have to do something, set up contingency plan for the eventual mass deportation of citizens. I think there's so many things we talked about, but I know you can't deal with all that this morning. You probably need to come back soon to deal with some of those issues. And finally, the question is, the BRICS. What are we doing to really align ourselves with BRICS? The BRICS country. Thank you very much.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And we respond to the caller. I know there's a bit of a response, a lot of response coming there, but let's see if we can get them as much as possible.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So obviously, I will only be able to touch on most of them at a superficial level, given the shortage of time and the complex nature of the issues raised by the caller. Regarding the Sahel countries, CARICOM has not taken any position on them. We know that recently we had a number of, some people would call them coups, in which governments were overthrown in Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. A lot of the politics in the Sahel region is tied up with the colonial or the previous colonial relationship with France, with the way in which the resources of those countries have been exploited over the years, and with all different types of military entanglements. So this is something I agree with you that Grenada and CARICOM we need to take a look at And I don't know that we necessarily have to take sides or position it, but definitely we need to pay a little bit more attention to the developments in the Sahel region. Regarding the reparations process and the revision of the 10-point plan, I'm not aware that there are any moves currently to revise the 10-point plan. But we must know that very few things are cast in stone. As you go along, you realize that you need to adjust certain things, change some, eliminate some, bring in new ones. So I won't be surprised if down the road we take another look at the 10-point plan. In terms of Cuba and Venezuela. Let me start with Cuba. We believe it is very unfortunate that Cuba has been reinstated to this list of so-called sponsors of state terrorism. Cuba sends doctors, engineers. Cuba offers scholarships. In fact, Cuba does so much with the very limited resources that it has. And many other people who are much better endowed than Cuba and in a much stronger position than Cuba do very little. So we support the people of Cuba in the quest for genuine independence and development, and we are totally against coercive measures aimed at regime change, not only in Cuba but in any other country. Our relationships are with countries and not necessarily with administrations. And so we fully subscribe to the principle of the independence and the territorial integrity of every country. International bullying, we believe, is counterproductive. And if we are to have a world that is safer for all, not only for the big boys, but for everyone else, we have to learn to start respecting each other regardless of size, economic or military power. I don't remember the point you made about Mr. Comijong and Ambassador Ronald. Oh, yes, deportation. So we have a large diaspora. And over the years, Grenadians have been deported primarily from North America and the UK after having committed offenses in those countries. And as far as I know, we have always accepted them. But I think it is important, given new trends, that we need to put contingency plans in place, because the last thing we want is a massive influx of hardened criminals without having the infrastructure, the social programs in place to deal with them here. So I agree that we need to be proactive on that one and to start taking measures to mitigate for if and when they arrive in large numbers. Right. And regarding BRICS, we believe that the emergence of BRICS is a good thing, in particular for the global south. We believe that a multipolar world is better for everyone rather than a bipolar or unipolar world. We think that lots of countries bring different things to the international table. And while we do not have any, as far as I'm aware, any formal links to BRICS, but we do have very good relationships with many of the BRICS countries, China, Brazil, India, for example. Okay. In fact, talking about Brazil, just last week I had some very good talks with the Brazilian foreign minister who was in Grenada for a couple of hours. Okay. And there is a cooperation agreement that we have agreed to revive. And so we have, at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ministry of Economic Development level, we are in the process of appointing a small team to deal with that economic cooperation agreement with Brazil, to reactivate it so that we can start to see the benefits from it. And we are also in talks with the Brazilian government regarding the reopening of a Brazilian embassy in St. George's, and the appointment of a Grenadian ambassador accredited to Brazil, even though that ambassador may be non-resident for the time being. Okay, I understand. So we do have another caller. Caller, you're live, and appreciate your patience. Good morning to you.
Yeah, well, I'm like Joe. Anyhow, I'll be brief. Now, we go around various quarters in Grenada, and you could hear people saying they feel relieved that the NDC is in office and things now started to get done because the past administration had done nothing and Keith Mitchell been there for how much years and he did nothing. But I have a question to my brother. Would it be fair to say that the past administration had laid a proper foundation for the position where Grenada is in today? And I heard you say a while ago where housing and other things is concerned. Would it be fair to say that the Keith Mitchell-led administration had done their fair share to put Grenada in the position that it is in today, with housing and many other things which I don't want to go into too long. And I don't want you to have a whole 5 minutes to respond to the question I'm asking. To dispel the notion that people, party members, going around saying this about the past administration, that they've done nothing. So I just wanted to touch on that briefly. Don't make it too long. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, I don't think it is fair for anybody to say that the previous administration did nothing. There is no way that a party could be in power for close to 25 years and not accomplish anything. So that is not an accurate statement to say that the previous administration did nothing. They did have some accomplishments, and when you look at in fact, some of it were kind of by force. For example, the structural adjustment program, okay, but it did help to stabilize the fiscal situation of the country. And there were some social programs. Of course, there is always room for improvement. So I will never be one of those to say that the previous administration did not do anything. And in the same vein, there are some who may wish to say that this administration is not doing anything. Everybody does something. Yeah.
All right. We do have another caller via WhatsApp. Good morning. You're welcome.
Yeah, good morning, GT.
Good morning to you.
Mr. Andall.
Good morning.
Mr. Andall, if you're free to state, I'm going to say since the revolution, the previous administration did nothing compared to what the revolution and what you guys accomplished within the 2.5 years. I'm safely to say that. Mr. Andall, I have a few questions for you, but I'm not going to take long like Mr. Antoine. Mr. Andall, I don't think the first thing I want to congratulate you as a foreign minister and the achievement that you've been making. But the second thing, I want to remind you that you was voted as an MP for St. Patrick West. And we're not really satisfied with the things that are going on. You know what I mean? And especially the people you have behind that's supposed to be supporting you. We're not satisfied that we think in the office, the office where you held, the people in there, we need to see some changes because I could recall, like, since Beryl, a lot of people, when they put on their names, everything, they're supposed to be visited, and nobody visited them. How much time they went into the office, there was promised thing, and then certain people getting stuff and other people don't get in it. So we're very dissatisfied. Another thing I want to talk about, the Breakwater project. What's going on with the Breakwater project? We want an update on it. And the third thing, I heard that you guys thinking about a port from Carrico to Sotes, so maybe you could give us some headway on that. And the last thing I want to say, when we're going to have the school bus program rolling out in St. Patrick, because a lot of students from St. Patrick go to school in GBSS, they go to school at SAS, and everything starts in St. David and St. George's. What's about St. Patrick's? Sandal, thank you. Have a good day. And
thank you. Okay, good. Thank you so much. So let me, right, so good one. So first about the office. I've been on this planet for a few decades, and one of the things I've learned is that no matter who you have, there will always be dissatisfied people. In fact, the great Ralph Gonsalves in St. Vincent told us the other day that people seem to be in a state of permanent disgruntlement where politics is concerned, all right? People must recognize that resources are limited. As members of parliament, until last year, when this government brought in a constituency allowance, members of parliament were virtually reduced to lending a sympathetic ear to constituents and not being in a position to do very much. We have no budget as such. So we now have a constituency allowance, which we have been using in nearly all the constituencies to help with small things that constituents need from time to time. But it's very limited, and everybody will not get help at the same time. Many of the things which people believe that an MP or a minister can do, in reality, it is not so. Government programs are run through ministries. Take housing, for example. Every day, we get scores of requests for assistance for housing, but you work with unlimited budgets. So if I have a budget of $1 million, there is only so much it can stretch. So there will always be more people disappointed than happy. If I have a class of 30 children to write an exam, and I only have 10 pens, obviously, only 10 at a time can write the exam. The first 10 will be happy, the other 20 will be disgruntled until they get their turn. So, caller, while I understand that the people at the office are not perfect, I am satisfied that they're doing a very good job. They're accountable, they do their reports on time. As far as I know, they are courteous to people who visit the office, but they do not have the power to do every single thing that everybody wants at the time and with the speed that they would like it done. With the breakwater, I can report that in December last year, the Caribbean Development Bank agreed to provide funding to the tune of about $10 million US for the continuation of that program. There is a company called Smith Warner, I think, Smith Warner, Jamaican company that was retained by the previous administration to do the work. They have completed their environmental and social impact assessment. We have done a couple of rounds of community consultation. Some adjustments were made to the designs that they presented to us. And while I cannot say the exact month that work will resume on the Breakwater project, I feel very confident that sometime this year we will see the resumption of activities there. Pardon me. As to a port, it would be great if we could have some facility there that could facilitate travel between Grenada and Carriacou. MP Cornwall and I, we are working with the Ministry of Infrastructure Development to see that a proper facility is installed there, not only for the fishers, but hopefully also to facilitate transport between Grenada and Carriacou and to generate some economic activity in that area. Right. The current school bus program is a pilot. Generally, when you do a pilot program, you choose one or two places. You look at it for a period of time. You look at the successes. You look at the areas where you have glitches or challenges, so that when you're about to roll it out on a large scale, you are in a better position. And please do not fall victim to the propaganda that is only in St. David's things happening. Many of the things that are happening in St. David's are by the residents of St. David's. So I am confident that while there is still a lot to be done in St. Patrick, that we have done quite a bit. One of the things that we've done last year was to purchase the old Caribbean cinema property, and we have great plans for it. Very soon we'll be having consultations with the residents to come up with a proper plan for how best to utilize that space.
Okay. Of course, MP Andall, of course, we get to the stage of the morning where we have to take a wrap for today's program. We've gone over time a little bit. So anything in closing before we take a wrap this morning?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for having me on the program. Thank you to all of the callers with your questions and your contributions. And I wish to assure everyone that the recent trip that we undertook to China, as well as other foreign trips, they are always designed with the economic and social development of Grenada in mind. We always come back with some form of arrangement or agreement that once we do the necessary follow-up and so on, we will begin to see the tangible benefits from them. At the constituency level, we will continue to engage you to be more active, to be more interactive, and we're confident that 2025 will be a very good year for Grenada, Petit Martinique, and Carriacou.
Once again, MP, I want to thank you a whole lot for being on the program this morning, and I certainly hope we can have you again further, because there's magnitude of questions that folks would like to throw at you. Until we do again, have yourself a good day, sir.
Thank you very much. Pleasure being here.
All right. Okay. Hey, folks, as we go take a wrap for this edition of To The Point, join me again tomorrow for another. Goodbye.